And take it away, David and Philippe.
Okay, is my screen being displayed?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Grable, treasurer of CityTrees. Thanks to Amelia and Sarah for the opportunity to present at Learn Over Lunch. With us today are a couple of CityTrees board members, including Philippe, our president.
Hi.
The point of showing you our mission statement is that the maintenance of trees is prominently included. CityTrees spends as much time maintaining our canopy as we do planting new trees. If you'd like to learn more about CityTrees, there's our website. In 1999, a road construction project in Redwood City became known to some as the Roosevelt Avenue Massacre. The project resulted in many trees being cut down, and there was a public outcry. Then Mayor Ira Ruskin met with CityTrees co-founder Jane Taylor to understand how this could be prevented from happening again. Out of that meeting, Jane and Jack Stevens formed CityTrees in 2000. Since that time, we've planted over 3,800 trees, maintained over 3,900 trees, and we've sequestered over 23 million pounds of greenhouse gases. A few years ago, Social Good Fund, which is a 501c3, became our fiscal sponsor. And there you can see in that picture 11 of the 12 board members for CityTrees. Before getting into our maintenance strategies, we want to emphasize that our relationships are the foundation of our accomplishments. CityTrees is fortunate to have a former mayor, a director of the Port of Redwood City, and a member of the Planning Commission on our board. These people are responsible for fostering the relationships any urban forestry nonprofit needs to succeed. And in that picture, you can see Philippe with a director of the Redwood City Department of Public Works, who we met with this morning. CityTrees works with three entirely different bureaucracies. Because these bureaucracies operate independently and have different operational policies, we've had to develop three separate maintenance strategies. With the Redwood City Department of Public Works, CityTrees has achieved considerable success. We collaborate on and coordinate planting and pruning events. At planting events, Department of Public Works helps select planting locations, works with us on species selection, often buys trees at a discount, arranges delivery, and augers the holes. At pruning events, they provide trucks that follow the pruners and take away the debris. One reason this relationship works so well is that we have a single point of contact for operations and another single point of contact for policy. The second bureaucracy we deal with is really two bureaucracies. We work with the Sequoia Union High School District and the Redwood City School District. In each instance, the gatekeeper to working with the district is the superintendent. However, once the superintendent approves our plans, it became clear to us that each principal was the master of their domain in terms of planting. As you will see, maintenance planning for schools requires flexibility, lots of follow-up, and a considerable amount of patience. Our final bureaucracy is the San Mateo County, specifically the unincorporated sections of the county, where the San Mateo County Department of Public Works has all the authority. We have only completed one project in unincorporated San Mateo County, and you'll soon learn why. Here are some of the challenges whoops.
We're 2 slides back. So
Oops, sorry.
there we go.
There we go. Here are some of the challenges we face. You could say we're a victim of our own success. With 3,800 trees in the ground, getting to all the trees we've planted is a daunting task. As I mentioned in the last slide, we're working with different bureaucracies, some of which require contact with multiple stakeholders. At every location, CityTrees needs to keep in mind who we need to contact and who we need to get support from. As you all know well, watering, particularly in a time of drought, is essential. We must monitor irrigation systems at some locations and gator bags at other locations. CityTrees is in frequent communication with maintenance staffs to remind them to water. Finally, like everybody else, we've had trees die, we've had trees get hit by cars, and we've even experienced vandalism, unfortunately. Every board member notifies our planners when they spot trees that need replacement. So how do we handle these challenges? CityTrees now includes the installation of gator bags for every tree we plant. We believe that this is a more efficient way to get water to the trees. It also protects the tree trunks and serves as a visual reminder to water the trees. In the past, CityTrees facilitated watering agreements between residents and Redwood City. Since we had limited success, and frankly, getting watering agreements is not my idea of fun, we've taken a new strategy. Particularly in the warm weather months, CityTrees funds the Department of Public Works employee overtime to water trees. This has meant that every Saturday during the summer, a city employee is paid overtime to water trees and fill gators. Our agreement is that CityTrees pays for the overtime and Redwood City pays for the water and for the use of the watering truck. Since our board is not large enough to complete all the needed pruning, we enlist volunteers who have completed our pruning seminar to join us at pruning events. In this way, we can prune up to 40 and even 50 trees at a single event. Again, the Department of Public Works is there to pick up the debris. And there's a nice picture of DPW just after planting. School campuses in Redwood City are entirely independent of city government. DPW does not do, that's the Department of Public Works, does not do any work on school campuses. This means that we have to rely on the school district's centralized maintenance staff and the campus-specific staff. The results have been inconsistent. We've encountered broken or turned off irrigation systems and empty gators. Clearly, we need an enhanced strategy. What we are attempting to do is contact environmental clubs and gardening clubs at each school to work with us to monitor the health of the trees and to water the trees. On one campus, we are in touch with a parent who is invested in her child's school's tree canopy. I cannot fully report on the results of this new strategy yet, and we are hopeful. Unincorporated San Mateo County does not have an emphasis on being designated a tree city the way Redwood City does. The San Mateo County Department of Public Works focuses on construction projects and responds to failed or fallen trees. When we met with the county supervisor, concerns about liability and insurance outweighed any enthusiasm for tree planting projects. To my knowledge, CityTrees has only completed one 8-tree project in an unincorporated San Mateo County. The obstacles put in front of us to get that one project done were formidable. At this point, we do not have a maintenance strategy or planting strategy for that matter yet. However, as with Redwood City and with the school districts, we are developing relationships that will help us overcome the speed bumps that we currently face. Philippe and I will now take your questions.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. That was such a great overview. If folks have questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself. You can ask for more information about any of these different relationships or the events that they do. Yeah, Lynn.
I have a kind of a specific question for this large high school planting around on city streets that we're going to be doing in February. The city of Fremont mentioned using gator bags, and anyway, I'm not familiar with them. Of course, I've seen pictures of them. I understand they fill, but how often? What's the difference between using them and coming by with a water truck and delivering water to them? Is it the fact that you can go longer between plant or watering? That's the beauty. You
Gator
mentioned
bags.
visibility, that it's a reminder also.
Gator bags localize the water, so you get less runoff, and they also protect the tree trunk. I think they're easier too, and they water the trees pretty efficiently. If you fill up a gator bag, it takes 6 to 8 hours for the water to soak, all the water to soak into the ground. So it's just a more efficient way of getting water to the trees.
Yeah, when we had a lot of trees next to each other, all with berms, when the watering truck came by, you know, sometimes they cannot reach exactly to the berm, so you have this hose that's kind of trying to get into the berm, and then there's a lot of erosion, and sometimes the root ball gets exposed if it's direct watering. So we found that having a gator bag is much gentler and allows for better infiltration of water.
Nice, thank you, Michelle.
What was your, in terms of gator bags and vandalism, or gator bags finding feet and walking away, or?
David, would you like to take that one?
Well, the vandalism we experienced had nothing to do with the gator bags. Someone just came by and chopped up a couple of trees that we had planted. I am not aware of any of our gator bags walking away yet, but there is certainly a risk for that happening. There's no way to lock them.
Just to say, the major vandalism was experienced for the gator bags is that we had a lot of squirrels and groundhogs find water in them, especially during the drought. So many of the gator bags have released their water a little quicker than usual, but they're still functional. So majority of vandalism happens from wildlife.
How long do you leave them on?
We for the duration of the maintenance of the tree, so 2 years at least for newly planted trees, and then they usually survive. I mean, so far it's been a year. Most of them are still there, so we'll see next year if they're still there. Someone had a question about whether we still build the berms with gator bags, and yes, we do, because sometimes the gator bags do not, you know, they do disappear, and even then, we still like to have that berm to indicate to people not to weed whack close to the tree, so it just helps.
That makes sense. Mel, I saw your hand go up, and Amelia after that.
Yeah, on the topic of gator bags, I'm with Canopy, by the way, in Palo Alto. I'm our tree care coordinator, and we use gator bags, and we've used gator bags in the past. And I just wanted to ask, how do they seem to hold up for you all? And as far as like drainage rate goes, I find myself having to replace a lot of gator bags that aren't draining and then not lasting the full 3 years. So just since you seem to use gator bags probably more than we do, I'm just curious about that. How often do you have to replace them, and roughly how well do they hold up for, 2 or 3 years?
Just like with any other product, different gator bags are made with different quality. And we've purchased 3 different types of gator bags. We don't have enough experience with them yet, but it seems to me that there is a quality difference and you need to be careful in which ones you select. Some of them seem to be a little more robust than the others.
Do you have any recommendations as far as brands go? Which ones seem to be holding up the best?
You know, I'd have to look at my Amazon account because I've just noted one in the account. I don't remember the name, but there is one that I like better than the others.
Maybe afterwards, David, you could maybe tell me what it is and when I can send it out to the group with the materials from today.
All right, Sarah, I'll send you that information.
Amelia was going to say something, and Shelley, I see your hand.
Shelley, is your question about the gator bags too? All right, you
Yes.
go. I'm gonna switch topics, so we might as well get that. We might as well get that one done. Go for it.
I just wanted to confirm, did you say that you're refilling the gator bags with the watering truck? And is that seems a little challenging to be, exact and get it into the bag?
So I'll answer that one. I think the challenge was for the watering truck to access directly the berm. So sometimes, depending on how the watering truck goes, sometimes they have a fixed hose and sometimes they have a pipe. We experienced a lot of erosion, but when you have a gator bag, sorry, the hose can be just placed on top and it's pretty reasonable to fill it. So I wouldn't say there's challenges with the gator bag. It's just more hands-on for the operator.
So I'm picturing 3, a driver, one at the end of the hose to the tree gator bag, and one at the truck to turn a valve to release the water on and off.
So it's usually one operator. They drive the truck, stop it, get out, and then put the hose in, wait for, I think it's 3 minutes to fill the bag. And then
3 minutes?
they go, that's what I'm saying. It's a very large volume very quickly. So this is the way they can fit more trees per unit hour in terms of watering. To fill the 20 gallons in a bag.
Do you have volunteers that really are maybe seniors or people that just prefer to do watering routes versus other things in the organization, such as tree planting events, tabling events, and that kind of thing? Or
I think
how much difficulty do you have having volunteers water these 3,800 trees?
Right. So currently we do not have volunteers water this. We collaborate with the city to have their staff help us water.
Oh, that's right. I'm
Right.
sorry.
And we would like, we've heard, for example, Friends of the Urban Forest in San Francisco are able to get volunteers and community members to water, but then becomes a different type of our project with their water buggies, and then they fill from a fire hydrant and just do block by block. It's a little bit more involved logistically to have that happen. So we chose this route just for simplicity. Hope that answered the question.
Okay, Amelia.
All right, I'm gonna switch gears here. I did one of the grant side visits with CityTrees back in November and got to meet a lot of their board out doing. You were spreading mulch that day, right? And just kind of they kind of popcorned me with some of the things that they do for tree care. And one of the things, I think it was in your bullet, and I have to apologize, I'm not at the top of my game today, so I might have missed a whole section, but the ways that you train volunteers for tree care, and then I know you mentioned like the prune pub, just how you get the caliber of pruning, not including before or after drinking, but how do you get to a confident level that you have groups that can go out and do that on a regular basis, and what is your curriculum or how are they trained?
Yeah,
Well, we're lucky to have Tom Cronin on this call. And Tom is the head of our education efforts, and he leads our pruning seminar every year.
Yeah, so we've been doing this pruning seminar, I think like 12 or 15, not many years. And so it's a collaboration again with the city of Redwood City and ourselves. And so we have about a half hour or so slide presentation inside. And then we go out into the field and actually do hands-on pruning with these folks. So they get to use all the tools that we use. You explain where to make the cuts, how to make the cuts. And so it's a pretty intense, I mean, we usually spend about an hour and a half out in the field. It's a 2-hour program. And so when we move from tree to tree, bigger trees, smaller trees, different varieties. And so they get a real chance to understand how that works. Then when we do have a pruning event, we only invite people that have gone through our pruning workshop. So there's no rookies where we'll take for a planting event, we'll do that. But if you're pruning with us, you have to have gone through our program. And that ensures us that, some are much more experienced than others. And but then when we typically prune, there'll be anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe more board members that are all very experienced pruners. And so we pretty much match up, one board member, one experienced pruner with the volunteers. And so it's a we're pretty careful on what we're doing, and we're watching, and we'll typically, if we see something that's going on with one group, we'll sort of rein it in. But generally the quality of the pruning, I think, is very good. And certainly the city appreciates it because there's no way they're going to get around all these little small trees. We typically prune them for the first 3 years, and then the city takes over after that.
Do you have to have special insurance or some kind of agreement with the city to do that?
No, it's part of our insurance package. When we bought our insurance, we explained that we did pruning, with sharp tools. Other thing we do is we don't get off the ground. We don't climb any ladders. So we're only pruning the small trees. That's another way to kind of keep that insurance, I think, down a little bit lower. But we did, when we got our insurance, we informed the insurance carrier that we're doing this. And so that's part of our insurance package, just as our planting activities are.
And in the past, the city used to issue a year-long renewable pruning permit to CityTrees, but since they have no staff to enforce any pruning requirements anymore, it's just free for all. But yeah, we still technically get a yearly pruning permit by the city.
And then where does the pub part come into play? You guys have an event where you prune and then you all go to the pub after? Is that the fun of?
Yeah, and that's the right order, by the way. We don't go to the pub first and then prune. So the prune and pub, we also have a lop and lunch, which is another name we use for it. But that's basically,
Nice.
we'll go out and the prune and pub is typically in the summertime in the evening. So when we have some light, so we'll start at 5:30, 6 o'clock, prune for a couple hours till we lose our light, and then if anybody like to join us at the local pub, then we'll do that. And then what we do is typically cover their lunch or cover their meal as part of a thank you to them. And then of course we're not buying any alcohol for the volunteers, but it's very popular. It's really fun in the summer. It's nice evening. And then we also do some Saturday morning ones as well, where we do the lop and lunch in same program. So really fun. I think it may bring a few more people out, but again, all these pruning folks are experienced people, so we're happy to have them come out and help us.
We also have some mulching events as well, which we need to rebrand. Amelia had a great idea of calling it March Mulch Madness. So we have, especially for plantings that are in field in lots of tall grass that we need to prevent weed whackers going there. We do those as well.
Yeah, I stole that from Sac Tree, and she has her hand up, so I better get that in before Pam talks. So
we'll share. It's all good. I have a question about the pruning events. How many are you doing per year? I think this is great. The prune and pub concept is why I'm here today. I do a lot of the pruning classes at Sac Tree. So how many are you doing per year, and are you doing them all year round, or is it seasonal?
Should I take that one?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So the prune and pubs are typically only in the summer, typically June, July, August, September, because that's when we have enough light, and that would just be once a month. So we'll do one prune and pub in June, one in July, one in August, September. Then throughout the rest of the year, we do prune year round. And depending on our schedule and how many plantings we're having, and availability of our board members to participate, we try to get out at least once more a month. So that would be if we include the regular pruning pub, the pruning pub and our regular Saturday pruning, we try to get out, once a month throughout the whole year. And typically they're 3 hours, 2 to 3 hour events. And depending on how many, the location and the density of the tree planting, we can get 40 to 50 trees pruned in that period of time. So again, these are all small trees, so we do have a pole pruner and to get some of the higher branches, but typically we're using a lopper and hand pruners. So we prune throughout the year, and on average, it's probably 10 to 12 times a year that we get out.
Mhm. Thank you. We're just doing it in the winter right now, when the trees are dormant, and it's just making me think like maybe we're restricting ourselves because we don't do that many, to be frank, because we're doing like 12,000 trees a year. We can't, we give them away. We can't go visit everyone's house. But for the classes we do at schools and parks and stuff, we're only doing that in the winter, and it's kind of tricky because it really limits our, how much we can do, because we're also doing planting events at that time. But if you're doing it in the summer and the trees are fine, that's really.
Yeah, we've been doing this for years, right?
Yeah,
So we haven't had a problem, and we plant both deciduous and evergreen trees, and we're whatever we come up to that's one of our trees in that block, we're gonna prune it at that time. And again, our volume is such that we may only get to these trees once or twice in their lifetime. It's not like we're coming back to the same trees over and over again. So when we're there, we're gonna prune what's out there.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I have just one more question about that. Like I said, we're not able to visit all of our trees. It's more of a distribution model. But if I had the chance to go visit a lot more trees and prune them, I'm imagining in our case, I would be also finding like stakes that need adjustment, or tie tape that like fell off and the tree's banging the stake, or like lack of mulch or needs water. Are you doing any other tree care stuff at the same time?
Yes, we are. We call it pruning, but it's really tree maintenance.
Okay.
And we test each tree to see if we can take the stakes out. Again, we're probably not going to see that tree again for a while, so we're we try to do the right thing at the right time. And if the strap just needs to be reset, we'll reset that. If the tree's leaning one way and we're short of stakes, we'll keep one stake up there to hold it up in the right position. And so we're doing definitely more than just pruning. And any suckers that are coming out of the tree, we take those out at the base. And so it's a pretty full maintenance program that we have.
That's great to know. Thank you for painting that picture. I appreciate it.
Sure.
The most extensive repair Tom sometimes does is he brings bamboo stakes and then splints and tries to make pretty tall leaders, because we do have I guess mismanaged, or not mismanaged, I'm sorry, not most rectilinear, oh my god, straight trees, there we go. So rectilinear, that's it.
Anyone else have questions? Oh, when do you remove the stakes?
Yeah, so we remove them at the same time that we are pruning. Oh, you mean when, as far as in the life cycle of the tree, or the timing of when we actually take them off?
I'm not sure. Shelley?
I guess if you could answer both, that would be great.
Okay. All right, so we will take them out when we do our regular maintenance. When we do our pruning, we'll be checking the trees to see if the tree is strong enough to stand on its own. And so we'll do that throughout the pruning process. And we typically, it's probably around 3 years that the stakes come out. It's somewhat subject to the tree, how big the tree was when we planted it, how well it's growing. And we do a couple of tests. We kind of shake the tree and see if the root ball is pretty stable in the ground and it's not moving much. Or not moving hardly at all, then we'll probably take it out. If you can move that tree and it's still you can still see that root moving a little bit, that root ball moving a little bit, then we'll probably leave the stake in. So that's what we try to do. And if I would say probably after three or 4 years, we'd be taking those stakes out in most cases.
If it's a high usage area in an urban environment, sometimes we
Yeah.
just remove the straps because we have had instances of tree growing around the strap, which is the biggest risk we have. So we remove the straps, but leave the stakes so they don't get doored, which is a lot of our trees get doored by parked cars because it's really tight urban environment.
Okay, we have a little bit more time for questions. If anyone has anything about the event or about their relationships with the school boards or public works or anything that came up that you wanted more info on.
Do you have any tips on working with the school boards that works or doesn't work?
Well, around here, as I mentioned in the presentation, first you go to the superintendent, let the superintendent know what you're up to. And then after that, our experience is that the principal is essential. And the principal really is in control of his or her campus. So getting the principal's support is just an essential part of it. And then the last part of it is the maintenance crew for the school and making sure they know what you're up to. And this can be a challenge.
You mean the actual school board maintenance department,
Right.
not volunteers that are looking after maintenance?
Right. And Pat's on this call and she could give you details about our mixed experience with school maintenance staffs.
Yeah, I think the key is to, when we started collaborating with the schools, we organized a big meeting. We asked the principals to come and the response was wonderful. And what they did after that initial meeting was to assign a contact person for each school, not necessarily them. And I found them to be really responsive. So I would actually, in all correspondence, I would email them, copy the CC, the principal. And anytime I dealt with the maintenance and facilities folks, I copied the contact person at that school just as a check. The response with the maintenance, I think the biggest challenge was the facilities and maintenance folks. They're busy. This may not be their top priority, but it was just a more consistent outreach to them that helped. But in my experience, that was the weakest link in the whole process.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna create some breakout rooms. I'm gonna go ahead and stop our recording.